back to another video here, guys. This is going to be something very special, I think. So I'm actually going to be in the field, but today I'm going to be shooting a 35mm film, which is something I haven't done in probably close to a decade now, ever since doing my photography classes back in high school. So this is something very, very exciting, but I just want to give a shout out to Jeremy Mudd for allowing me to loan his Nikon N80 camera here and 3 lenses. And he also gave me 2 rolls of 35mm film as well to just basically experiment with. So it's very nice of him to allow me to loan his gear and have some rolls of film and just go out and shoot with them, of course. So it's actually a very timely event right now because I have about give or take about 2 weeks, I say, of Film February, which is a little challenge that him and some other photographer friends I know participate in. So probably shortly after this, I'm going to give back obviously the gear to him, and he's also nice enough to also scan and develop the film as well, and then send it my way basically. But then we're going to have a little basically like a webinar, just talking about our experiences with it overall. But I'm really looking forward to it. So I'm probably gonna go out shooting here today. If I'm lucky, I might get a complete roll done. We'll see about that. If not, that's okay too. I'm not gonna really shoot for the moon and hope I get both rolls, just finished. So really it's a toss-up, so I'm not sure really what we're going to get into here. So but let's go ahead, and I'm just going to basically show you what he gave me here. It's basically going to be a mini what's in my bag for the day, this day trip that is. And if not, then I may spread this kind of video out over maybe a couple days or something like that. So it really just depends, but we'll see how long it takes me to shoot the rolls and see. Hopefully I get some good images out of them. But, so he gave me this Case Logic bag. It's just like a little nice handheld bag. These are good bags. I don't think I've ever owned one, but I mean they are pretty nice. I've heard nice things about them, and this one looks pretty sturdy. You can even probably like cinch on a little strap, I guess, to put like a crossbody kind of design, I guess. But anyways, so he gave me a Nikon. It's an autofocus Nikkor, the 35 to 70mm. It looks like it's about 3 to 4.5 for an aperture, so it's a pretty fast lens, and this would be good for the wide angle stuff that hopefully we'll be doing this. And then on the other side of this pouch, he gave me something more like the mid telephoto range. That's a 70 to 200, goes up to about 5.6, and so looks like a nice lens here. So these are really solidly constructed, which is pretty nice. I haven't shot Nikon since that film camera. I've taken those classes in high school, so it's something a little bit different for me. But back then I did use a Nikon film camera, and something that was probably really similar to this, honestly, if I recall, simply because it's just the design of them, it's really kind of stayed the same. And this is one of the last film cameras, I believe, that Nikon made. So that means that basically the design looks a lot like a DSLR in the modern days, that is. So give me 2 rolls of film, so they're both Ilford. There's a Pan 400 and this one called HP5 Plus. They're both 400 speed, or ISO 400 as you'd say nowadays, and they're both black and white. So got 2 rolls of film there. And the camera itself, so like I said, Nikon N80. It's a pretty nice design on it, and he also gave me the 50mm 1.8. So the nifty 50, which is always a good focal length to start with, and a nice kind of overall, all-around kind of standard focal length to really shoot with. So I think that's what I'm going to be really focusing on first, hopefully, unless there's something else comes up my way that may offer like a telephoto or a wide-angle view. So, but anyways, yeah. So I'm really looking forward to trying this out here. Yeah, I mean, I got a little trepidations though, because I had a lot of problems, we'll say, with film in high school. Where I remember one time for an assignment, I was shooting for the weekend, and I actually managed to not get the film loaded right. So basically it didn't latch on properly and start spooling, and so it basically didn't expose any images, quite simply. I'm really hoping that I've learned from those lessons, maybe with just the many years of experience since then, with just exposure and cameras in general, that hopefully it'll be a lot easier for me, I hope. But I feel like it's gonna be a really nice challenge, just because it's gonna be a nice refreshing thing, I'll say, because I always approach things in life as if it scares you or maybe even terrifies you to do it, or it feels like you're getting outside of your comfort zone, then you should probably do it. So this is something that's almost like a daunting task, and I'm not sure how well I'm gonna really approach it, and so that I may screw up the rolls. I don't know. I may not get some good shots at all. Maybe I just won't find anything inspiring to like compose really. But you never know if you don't try. So I think that's a really important thing I want to drive home with this little challenge here. Basically, is you don't know unless if you try. And so you may look back in another year or two and I may be shooting exclusively film. I mean, it's one of those things where I might bite the bug and just really get excited about film in general. Regardless, I'm looking forward to trying this and getting back into this older style of photography that's still, it's old but not forgotten really. So, and then maybe from there we'll see what we can get for the day. So I'm gonna go ahead and load the film and we'll start taking our walk here at the local fen, the wetland here. And snow is kind of drifting around. It's slightly windy out. It's pretty cold as we're getting here to mid to late winter. There's some snow on the ground. It's kind of crunchy, but there's not really too much else going on. But the trees are bare, birds are singing because it is almost spring. It's getting really close now, and yeah, hopefully get some cool landscapes and maybe some stuff that's like more intimate landscapes or stuff on the woodland floor, anything in between. So we got all the focal lengths here to really experiment and everything. So I'm looking forward to trying it, and yeah, let's go ahead and get started here. It's been a while since I've really done any kind of like abstractive or textural kind of shots like this, where it's more like an intimate landscape or something that's just much more non-traditional, we'll say. But yeah, it's been a while since I've done them, and so I'm really looking forward to trying it. I feel like doing it with film in particular is going to be something really refreshing, and just right here on the meandering on this footpath as I'm along it on the gravel trail. And so lots of different, basically there's a lot of rain, that heavy rain that happened the day prior to today, and now it's really frozen over. As you can see, really lots of snow falling down now, and so that means all of this has been frozen over. Even though it was puddles, now it's all frozen and it's become all these like thin sheets of like ice and stuff. And so it's really cool when you get stuff like that here in winter, because then it just really reveals all these different cracks and textures and just lines and colors that you wouldn't see otherwise. And so I'm thinking about doing something like that. Since I am doing black and white film, I'm a little bit constricted more to using color, obviously, and can't have really that stuff kind of really bring itself out, I guess, in the image. But that's totally okay. I feel like with black and white, it really emphasizes the form, the texture, and just composition and just all that kind of stuff. It's really overcast light right now, so I'm not really getting a nice high contrast light, so that makes it a little bit more tricky, and that means I have less light to work with, obviously, and so I'm going to have to meter and expose accordingly for it to compensate it really. But I'm going to give this a shot here, quite literally, and see how it looks. It's just kind of nerve-wracking. That first shot on the roll is, it's always kind of like the icebreaker, which is much the same with digital, of course, too. Whenever I go to a new location, or any location for that matter, so it's that first shot that really just you really have to get to really get the ball rolling, really, and really just start seeing stuff creatively and take more images, obviously. I'm going to try this out, not to add more challenges to the day, and not only am I shooting film, but doing handheld, I think, will be the best choice. But if always, I can use the tripod here and just try that out as well. But I'm going to try some hand holding it and just basically doing a straight top-down view, and just focusing right and everything, and hopefully it turns out well. But I'm going to go ahead and take maybe a couple exposures. I do have 36 in a roll, in case you didn't know about that, with 35mm film. So that means I got plenty to work with, and you know, I'm not really going to be, you know, I'm not going to shy away really from taking more than one exposure of the same kind of composition, just to ensure I get it at least in one of those images. So I'm going to go ahead and take some shots here and see how they turn out. But I won't know until I get them developed, so that's going to be the real tricky part. Ah, man. It feels like I'm learning photography all over again. I think that's the one takeaway I'm already having before I even taking an image, is that, you know, film has helped me reframe and rethink photography in general, and it's really showing me that, you know, it's like you think you know everything. Not that I really said I did, but like you feel like you know, you're comfortable and confident in what you know with taking images, but then you get this curveball that's this whole different kind of medium, almost the whole different format, and it's like it just kind of makes you go back to square one, and you really have to start over and really rethink how you take images, which I feel like is going to be the big takeaway with this kind of this project here, I guess. So I've been rambling way too much. I'm going to take some shots here for this entire video. It might be a long one, so excuse that. Grab yourself a cup of tea or coffee. But I'm probably not going to be talking endlessly and rambling about each shot I take, but I will probably stop for a few of the compositions I hopefully get today on my hike here, and you know, just talk you through how my thought process with them, how I'm composing them, the exposure settings and everything I have that goes into making the images, of course, too. So I'm going to shut up now and I'm going to take some shots here, so see how they turn out. Well, I did it. I was on the P mode, program mode, so basically it was just full auto. You know, maybe as I go along the day here, I'll switch to manual and really get into the more creative control of the image taking. But that felt pretty good. It felt really satisfying to actually hit that shutter and see on the LED screen up here it says 2. Yeah, that felt good. It felt like a nice kind of just burden, a weight off your shoulders a little bit. So now I feel much better about taking more shots. So I'm going to definitely do that here. And yeah, I'll probably take a few more exposures just because I'm not too confident in that one turning out well. But yeah, that was cool. That's really neat. It's nice to see the water down here as it flows underneath that thin sheet of ice, and you just see it kind of almost like slurping and meandering around right underneath this ice here. See if I move it, it actually pulsates when I do that, when I hit it. So that's pretty cool. But anyways, I'm gonna take a few more shots and see how well they turn out, I guess. But that's pretty cool. That was really neat. Alright, so I exposed about 7 shots here of just doing different kinds of patterns basically, and just the thin layer of ice on the trail here. A couple of them I think are going to turn out pretty well. It just took a little bit, I had a little bit of trepidation at first trying to remember how to really do exposure settings. I know it sounds weird to say, but you know, after that first initial shot I took on fully auto mode, I did switch it pretty quickly to the manual, and really just started figuring out all the dials and settings and buttons on this Nikon camera. And so just trying it out here, but I think I settled upon on the last one, which had these 2 smaller groupings of some kind of irregular shapes in the ice, as they were just, you know, shallow and also underneath, right out underneath that ice, but just some water, basically just clumps, I guess. But I settled upon doing about 3/50th of a second and 500th of a second, and I was about, I think it was about aperture about 6.7, f-stop 6.7. And so I think they turned out pretty well. Once again, like top down, handheld, no filters involved whatsoever. All right, so with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and keep going here along the trail here. I've barely even left the parking lot. I can still see my car from over here. But you know, that's kind of good, I think. That's a really good mindset, I think, with film, is just to really help you slow down a little bit more and really be more thoughtful with your exposures. The sun kind of peered through now, and it's getting some really blue skies. You might be able to see that behind me here. And so that means that you may get some full sun, and that will really help, I think, with taking some more wider landscape shots, of course. We'll go ahead and keep going here, and I'll talk to you in a little bit. Alright, so here's another such example that I found. Something a little bit wider landscape like I was hoping for, at least for a couple of images here. And so I figured with black and white pairing well with the white snow here, as it just lines the trail and does this meandering S-curve all the way off in the distance and vanishes, at least from my view over here. I just thought that would be a good image for black and white, quite simply. So I was about 500th of a second shooting handheld. I think I was about f13, so I had a nice deep depth of field, and that way I got pretty much everything in focus, hopefully. And I autofocused with the back button focus I'd say about 2/3 of the way down the trail, just before it gets to the bend in the curve there, at least from this viewpoint. And so hopefully that's going to turn out pretty well, and I think it's a nice composition. Shooting it vertically especially really helped just emphasize the shape and design of it, and I feel like it can be easily forgettable to shoot vertical, and so many people get hung up, myself included, on shooting horizontal images exclusively, that we forget to flip the camera the other way and really see what kind of images can be made from that. So I feel like overall it turned out pretty well, and looking forward to seeing those developed and scanned and everything. So I'm at about 10 exposures now total, so I took a couple more along the way on just different things I saw and all that kind of stuff. So making my way pretty much through the roll, and at this rate I might be able to get it done before the day ends here, which would be pretty cool. So I'm gonna keep going here and see what else I can find for the hike here, and I'll talk to you guys in a little bit. So I'm trying out this this big boulder here. I've went by this trail many times over the past couple of years at this local wetland, and this big stone has always just caught my eye, and I've always wanted to do a wide-angle perspective of it, just encompassing the entire tree line, everything surrounding it. But it's just this prominent stone slab that's I think just broken off, partly because of the rock wall up here on the other side over here on the hillside, and so I thought it would be just a good shot to take here with film, just because I haven't done it quite simply at all yet, and plus I just feel like the conditions right now are pretty right, with it just being partially shaded but also some light peering through at times. So I have some varying kind of light conditions to really work with here and take multiple exposures if I so choose. And so I've just been doing it from the face right up here. I switched out to my 35 to 70 millimeter wide angle lens, and so I've been pretty much being at 35, 40-ish about for focal length, and just doing a dead-on shot of the face here with the side light coming over here behind me, or beside me that is. And yeah, now you can see it's really bright now. So it keeps peering out of all the clouds. It's really spotty light now, which can be good or bad depending on what I'm going for here. But I feel like for a day like today with the film I'm using black and white, and at the certain film speed that I'm using at 400, I feel like I do want some more light actually, and some more higher contrast scenes, which is once again another challenge for me, because I usually don't like those kind of bright sunny days like that. Usually I like really overcast light, and so this has been a little bit more of a challenge too in that way. But as you can see, there's actually some tree branches and sticks casting shadows onto the stone slab as well, which is just you can either pinpoint it as being something that's more creative or something you like, or it could be something that's a distraction. I think right now that's more of the latter for me, but I'm just going to probably take a couple more shots here, and I might do one with this full sunlight like it is right now, and maybe overexposing by a little bit, no more than a stop of light I would say, just so I can get the white snow purely crisp and looking nice I think in the image. So I think this turned out pretty well. This is really nice, nice morning out. That sunlight means it's getting really warm out, which is nice, despite all the snow, which I think has stopped falling for now, unfortunately, because I just thought it was a nice backdrop and something nice and peaceful to hike in, of course, too. So I'm going to take a few more shots, and we will keep moving along here, and maybe get done with the roll for today. So far I'm at 12 shots, but I'm being very choosy and just doing like 2 or 3 at most of the same subject. Sometimes recomposing it, refocusing, just depending on what I may be shooting for that moment. But yeah, so far it's been really good. So I've been really enjoying it, and getting back to film has been really refreshing, I think, overall, and really fun to just try it out and do something different for once, and for a nice change of pace, that is. So I found these basically along the rock wall here. This is a pretty nice view up here up top, which I might go up here in a moment. But I was checking out this all these frozen icicles that are just melting now as the sun's just casting its glow on them here as we get to late morning, midday. And so yeah, it worked out pretty well, I think, with this telephoto lens. I actually want to make a correction to myself because obviously I don't know the gear very well. I just got it a few days ago. But it's actually, it says 70 to 210 millimeters, but I believe it's actually just a 70 millimeter prime lens, which is pretty cool. So something a little bit different, at least. So obviously prime lenses are a fixed focal length, in case anyone's not aware. So it meant that I'm not really getting that much zoom factor, but I am having to crop in, of course, the scenes and really pick apart parts of it that maybe extract details, I guess, of the the overall query here, as I said. But yeah, this is one such scene where I think it works out real well. Basically, all the sunlight right over here, it's side light, but it's front lit, I would say, onto the icicles, and it's casting their glow, and it has a nice kind of sheen and sparkle to them as they melt and everything. And so just with all the various rock, just kind of more duller colors, I guess, and they just got this glow of these almost like white, almost pure white icicles and everything. So it's basically just a giant scattered detail shot of just all these icicles, basically. Not much else to it, at least, but I think it worked out pretty well. And I'm at 33 exposures now, so that means I have 3 left. It's hard to believe. I actually went through a whole roll here in the morning, but yeah, it worked out pretty well. I think I took 3 or 4 of this, just exposing for different parts of it, focusing on different areas, shooting pretty small apertures, which I have been for most of today, honestly, at about f11, f13. I think the first exposure I took on this for this particular subject was actually about f16, just so I can get everything captured in detail and everything has an even depth of field, which works out pretty well because in contrast to earlier when I did the shrub over here in the landscape, that had a very dynamic range and really lots of different depth going on in that scene as I focus on the the real close up to me foreground shrub and then all the far distant background trees and everything and the rocks and everything. But for this particular subject, it's a little bit easier because everything's on a more even focal plane compared to like that subject matter over there that I took earlier. So everything's much more at the same distance, and so with this telephoto lens also, it means it's going to compress the distance in between the subject and everything around it. Alright, so I'm going to go around and take 3 more exposures here, probably some different subject around here, but I'm going to call it quits here for the video just because it's probably gone on long enough, and I've explained more of the shots than I haven't, so I've been taking a lot of them, as I said, but it's been a great morning out here, and I just want to thank Jeremy once again for allowing me to loan his gear and for the 2 film rolls, and helping develop and scan those, of course, and send them to me. So I really appreciate Jeremy. I'll leave some links down below to his Instagram. He's got he's in this local photography group, camera club that I'm in. That's actually where I met him for at a local meetup here, as he's from Dayton, Ohio as well. And just all different kinds of stuff. He's got his website, he's got his blog, he's got great reviews, different just experiences out in the field and stuff. He shoots both film and digital, but he does great work. He's a very talented photographer. So yeah, with that being said, I just want to say thank you so much everyone for watching, and to have a great day.